Okay, and if you're listening to the podcast and wondering what the heck's going on here with the lack of formalities, we're trying something new. I'm just asking people, who are guests on the program, if they would consider going on live. When we go live, we use a piece of software called Restream. It sends a video stream to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, which is kind of cool, Facebook, which I guess we don't get any viewers over there anymore. Well, it's interesting, Turner, when you build up an audience on these platforms, then at some point the platform's like, we'll just take that audience back and then charge you for it. So Facebook, I have like zillions of followers, 100,000 people following the page, whatever. And like 3 people get a notification about the video. And they're just like, would you like to promote this? I'm like, no, I want to reach the original audience that you convinced me to build for 5 years and whatever.
You know what fixes this?
What fixes that? Crypto?
Yeah, Web3. Have you heard of it before? Have you looked into it?
I have. All right, listen, let me just give a brief overview of who Turner Novak is. You can follow him at Turner Novak on Twitter. He gained massive popularity over the past couple of years in his full 30 months as a VC. Just basically turned ish posting into a fund. His fund is called Banana Capital, and he's quite spicy on the Twitter. Turner, how did you get into venture?
It's a very long story, but essentially,
it's a podcast, so we have time.
Yeah, I mean, how much do you want? Do you want the 30 second? Do you want the 30 minutes or somewhere in between?
Yeah, the in between, whatever you choose.
In between.
So you wanted to get into VC, but when you were younger, or when you couldn't get in? I
guess the kind of the full the minute context. Originally from Canada, moved to the US. My parents got divorced. Dad moved back to Canada. Mom went back to school to get a visa, stay in the country. Couldn't really work. So volunteer under the table, get paid cash gift cards, got food from the food bank growing up. She also had a small business. She designs custom handmade wedding gowns, which is a decent business if you're in New York, Paris. Not the best business if you're in a small city in the Midwest. And I just spent a ton of time on the internet as a kid, got kicked off the computers at school every year. That kind of an upbringing, and just knew I'd do something kind of tech related, but went to school for accounting and finance, joined the investment club in college, and was holy crap, you buy a stock and it goes up.
Yeah, stocks
investing.
Go up.
Yeah, they don't go down. They only go up. Like investing, this is awesome. I want to be an investor. And I just kind of went down that rabbit hole where, you can invest. What time
were you in college? I'm curious, just to pin it to the stock market.
Yeah, 2009 through 2014, I did a victory lap. My last 3 years, I cut down. I just did a bunch of internships to make money and avoid student loans. And so I would look at a company like Uber, like it's worth $100 billion publicly traded, but why can I invest in Uber when it was worth like $1 billion? Or there's some people that were like the first investors in Uber. Like, I want to do that.
Whatever. Yeah, you want to do that.
Yeah, third or fourth, like fifth, I don't know. But anyway, so
you became at some point aware of private companies. Do you remember how you became aware of private companies? You're just reading like TechCrunch or something?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember specifically. I mean, I think it was probably around the Facebook IPO, the Twitter IPO. I'd watch the opening bell with my roommates and be like, oh man, I remember the Twitter IPO. It took like 6 hours. Like it didn't go public until like 2 p.m. We like skipped class. And I just remember thinking like, maybe not Twitter specifically, but like Facebook, what a great business. Like, why would I invest in the IPO? Like, why can't I just invest before? Like, how do I set myself up to go earlier? And that was a long process of figuring all that out and being in probably the third best city in Michigan to get into tech in VC. Like it was a long process, but yeah, just essentially I just got some jobs related to investing and kind of more finance related in Michigan, started writing online a lot, just picked some topics to write about that I thought would be worth kind of like planting the flag, building a track record around. I did this fantasy VC portfolio. It's like fantasy football, but with startups.
Oh, nice.
And initially, my Twitter was probably 99% serious back in the day. And now it's like 1% serious, 99% just memes.
Twitter's for joking, trolling. I mean, you get a lot more attention from that. But just to confirm, instead of going to class, you decided to cut class. And instead of deciding to cut class to go hang out with chicks or to go drink beer or to go to the quad and smoke weed, you and your dork friends went to watch CNBC and watch the Twitter IPO.
I would like to think I was a lot cooler than that, but yeah,
I think it's the ultimate nerd move. It's pretty great, actually. So you're writing online, you get a little bit of attention, but then you want to start your own fund. And how old are you at this time that you decide you're going to start your own fund? Because that's the kind of new thing that's occurred here is that young people actually believe they can start their own funds and they actually succeed, which just didn't even seem like a possibility, I'll be honest, 10 years ago.
It's stupid. I don't know why you'd even try it, to be honest. It was kind of an accident. I mean, I had been essentially trying to prove I could be a VC from Michigan, which essentially meant being online instead of in San Francisco. And this was early 2019 was when I finally got all the interviews and everyone was like, you got to move to San Francisco. You can't be a VC unless you're here.
No.
Which made sense at the time. But when I think about my advantage, if you're a startup, you got to think, how do you attack the incumbents? I was like, how do I compete against the incumbent VCs or just the people who are, probably a shoe-in to get the jobs? I'm the complete opposite kind of background and network that I have set up. So I was just I don't think I need to be in San Francisco. So I just tried to figure out how to make it work. And I took an internship. It's a pretty big pay cut. And I actually had to sell my house because I couldn't afford my mortgage. And then we had a rental property that you can buy real estate in Michigan for $65,000. So I sold it because I had a ton of equity in it and we had to move. So we just moved right next to my in-laws instead of in Ann Arbor on the other side of the state, instead of moving to San Francisco. And then pandemic hit. As I joined this real estate firm called Gelt, and they were like, hey, let's raise a venture fund for our real estate LPs. And with the pandemic, COVID, they were really focused on the real estate business. It was tough to get LPs to come in. And I just had a bunch of people that were like, Turner, we've been co-investing together. If you ever start your own fund, I'm in. I had a bunch of money kind of soft committed for this fund that I actually wasn't going out to try to do. But I just hit a point where everyone was like, yo, you gotta do this. I think you'd be good. And I thought, maybe in 20 years, I'd launch my own firm. I think that's what I told
pay your dues.
That's what I told my wife the first date that we had. I was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be an investor. I want to run my own firm one day. And I was 23 at the time. I think I'm 30 right now. Started raising this right before I turned 30 in January was officially when I was like, okay, I have to do something. And I just kind of went back to all the people that I'd been talking to, meeting, co-investing with, all the founders I'd backed and told people what was happening and everybody wanted to invest. So, and it was my thesis was I can use memes to get distribution online and it's way more efficient than anything else. And it was while GameStop was happening and that was not a tough sell at the time. Everyone was like, oh, memes, duh. This makes sense. Right. So just really lucky timing with how COVID, the pandemic happened, how memes have kind of blown up. It just all kind of worked in my favor. So super lucky.
If you don't have business insurance, you failed one of the first steps of being a great founder. Startups should look no further than Embroker. Embroker's technology saves you time and money. Prices are up to 20% lower. And they got better coverage than all these slow incumbents. You can go from sign up to quote and purchase in just 10 minutes. I kid you not. And when you work with Embroker instead of business insurance incumbents, you're not dealing with large, slow corporations. The sign up takes days, not weeks, and the process is so transparent. There's no opaque pricing. There's no negotiation. You just get it all done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'm going to quickly explain to you one crucial type of startup insurance that Embroker covers. It's called E&O. You may have heard it or overheard it. It covers errors and omissions. That'll help you deal with scaling your business because any major customer you try to sign up is going to say, hey, can you show us your E&O? Part of the diligence process. So you want to get it now. It's not that expensive. These things are part of the process of growing up as a startup. And you know what? I find sometimes people wait until they get burned to put on their insurance. The insurance is not that expensive. You want to do it proactively, especially if you've raised money recently. That's the perfect time to deploy a little bit of capital into protecting the kingdom. Protect your enterprise. So to instantly buy custom-built insurance for startups, go to embroker.com/twist. And while you're there, you get 10% off. They're already amazing prices by using the offer code TWIST, TWIST, Embroker, EMBROKER.com/twist. All right. Thanks for supporting the show, Embroker. Love you guys.